What's happening with the Canadian real estate market this fall? Are prices going to keep going down, or are buyers coming back into the market? Well, in this video, we're going to go through a Canadian press article, which has been quoted on quite a few sites. And make sure you stay until the end, because we're actually going to see that there's a lot of debate about what's happening in fall. And I would love to hear your comments. So let's get to it. Hi everybody, my name is Connie Sarvanandan and I'm a real estate agent and investor here in Toronto and the GTA, and let's get straight to the article. Okay, so this is the article. I'm actually showing it in Financial Post, but because it's from the Canadian press, it actually shows up in a bunch of different sources. So this is Financial Post. It was also in CTV and a few other places. Now, the title of the article here is Canada's Real Estate Market is Cooling. Here's what to expect this fall. And then the first paragraph and this title are really the same. After fueling Canada's economy through COVID-19 pandemic, the real estate market is showing signs of weakness as home prices fall and bidding wars dissipate. And then the next paragraph goes on to talk about the fact that, this is a welcome relief for buyers. But what's going to happen in fall, realtors and economists are at odds. And so here's the interesting thing about that. In the past couple of years, I've done a lot of articles, and I've done articles from real estate companies like Remax and Royal LePage. My brokerage is Remax. And then I've also done a lot of articles from economists, whether it be economists that work for the banks or economists outside of that. I've done a lot of articles. And I would say that there isn't one set of people who have been right. All of them base their data on a lot of the same things. It's just how they interpret the data. So what I would say with this article is take everything with a grain of salt, take the information, and then start vetting it even further. And of course, I will give you my opinion at the end, but really what's happening here is people are at odds of what's going to happen. And I've said this before, nobody has a crystal ball on what's going to happen with the real estate market. It's very hard to predict what's going to happen because there's so many unknown factors. And the example I always give is COVID. Nobody knew what was going to happen with COVID. When COVID first hit, the market came to a complete halt, and people thought the market was going to crash then. And then it went absolutely crazy because of all the effects of what was happening in COVID. And the low interest rates, the need for bigger housing, the work from home situation. So those are all things that nobody could predict. And so there could be things that are going to happen in the fall that we don't know right now. It could be another war. It could be other things that could affect the housing market dramatically. But based on this information, this is what both realtors, realtor associations, and economists are saying. So what exactly are they saying? So the perspective from the real estate expert sides, this is from brokerages, this is from national associations like TREB and CREA, which is the Canadian Real Estate Association. What they are saying is this fall is going to be really interesting because you've had buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines for a little while, definitely over the summer, just waiting to see what's happening with prices. And so it won't take very many buyers to come back into the marketplace, which may happen in the fall, to stop that price decline. And so the other thing that they're mentioning is that, average home prices are still higher than they were pre-pandemic. But of course, mortgage rates and inflation are definitely affecting the market overall. So the quote here is, just a little bit of a bump in demand could be the difference between homes selling in 3-4 weeks versus selling in 2 weeks or selling a lot faster. And then they just looked at some numbers, both from a Toronto perspective, Toronto and GTA perspective, and a national perspective. So this part just says for the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, which is TREB, the average price of a home at the beginning of the pandemic was $900,000. Last month, it was sitting at $1,075,000. which is about 1% higher than it was a year ago in July. However, it's a 6% drop from June. So month over month, it's dropped 6%, but year over year, it's still up 1%. And then when you look at from a Canadian Real Estate Association standpoint, right now we're sitting at 629,000, so 630,000 for all of Canada in July, which is down, depending on how you look at it, which numbers you're taking and adjusting, it's down 3 to 5% versus a year ago. But what the association is predicting is that the numbers are going to continue to go up across Canada, not the GTA, but across Canada. And they're also expecting the numbers to go up in 2023. So that is where the economists disagree. And so let's go through what the economists are saying. If you're finding value in these videos, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, good or bad, I would love to hear them. Also, if you have any real estate needs here in Toronto or the GTA, we are happy to help you out. Please call, text, email, or WhatsApp, and we'll be sure to take care of you. Also, if you want to talk to me directly, I'm going to put my calendar link below. So some economists actually disagree, and the economists that they're quoting here are as a trio of economists from Desjardins, which is one of the financial institutions. So what they're saying is initially what they had predicted was there was going to be a 15% drop from the high of February 2022, so this past February, to the end of 2023. But now they're expecting that drop to actually be between 20 and 25%. So they're saying that from the peak in February to the end of 2023, they expect the pricing to drop 20 to 25%. And what they're quoting here is home prices continue to fall and have further to go before they find a bottom. But that said, they still believe that at the end of 2023, the prices will still be higher than pre-pandemic levels nationally and in all 10 provinces. So what they're saying is they're still expecting price drops, but overall, by the end of 2023, they still expect prices to be higher than they were pre-pandemic. And then it goes into what's happening within the marketplace, and they talk to different real estate agents. And some of the things that we're seeing is that, you know, there's this stalemate going on, and I can attest to that. I'm seeing this as well. So basically what was happening is that, you know, buyers are on the sidelines and buyers are looking for a opportunity, and some of them are looking for a bargain. And meanwhile, sellers, especially if they don't have to sell, are saying, no, I'm not taking that and I'm going to hold out, because some of them may be looking at, you know, what happened in February, but some of them also don't want to, even if they aren't expecting February prices, they weren't expecting it to go down as much as they thought it was going to go down. So, and then, you know, they're talking to different agents, and some are seeing lowball offers, which also would be true, because again, if you have to sell, buyers are seeing what they can and cannot get away with as far as, you know, how desperate a seller is. But then again, you know, shifts in things like mortgage rates rising have definitely cooled down the market overall, inflation, things like that. And, you know, they're quoting some of the things that have happened to really change the marketplace. So the Bank of Canada increased its key interest rate by 1% point to 2.5% in July, and the largest hike the country has seen in 24 years. So, you know, over the pandemic, the Bank of Canada's overnight rate was 0.25. And then beginning this year, they started to raise that. And first they started with 0.25 increases. So it went from 2.25 to where it's currently sitting, which is 2.5%. And they're expecting another interest rate hike in September. But what happened is this last one was a 1% jump. So it went from 1.5 to 2.5. And that's the first time they've done that kind of jump, that 1% in 24 years. And so, you know, some of these agents are saying that if I have buyers that don't have to buy right away, I'm telling them to wait and see, to see what's going to happen. again, what everybody is saying though, it's anyone's guess how much prices will fall. And I will talk to that because again, we don't know what's going to happen, right? We can't predict what's going to happen in the marketplace. There's too many unknown factors. And so this is what both sides are saying. What's going to be true, we'll only know after the fall. But the best that you can do is get all the information so that you can make a decision that's right for you. And so, you can look at 10-year numbers. You can look at more recent numbers. I say to look at everything. And then they go into some examples of what happened in Vancouver. So overall, I think what everybody is saying in this article is, whether we're going to go down further is debatable. Whether we're going to crash, nobody is saying that. Even the economists are saying, we're still going to be higher than the beginning of the pandemic by the end of 2023. But how close we're going to get back to those prices that were pre-pandemic is anybody's guess right now. So from a real estate expert side, they think that the numbers may improve. And from an economist side, they think the numbers will go down. And then finally, the last few things that they talk about is that you really need to understand the individual markets because there's blanket statements that are being made here for the GTA and for Canada as a whole, but really it depends on the very specific markets. And the example that they give here is in Alberta, the energy sector is much stronger than it has been in a long time. So that's going to affect the market differently than others. And then when they talk about Toronto and the GTA, and Ontario as a whole, they're saying that, there's going to be a lot sharper declines in the markets that had seen the most growth. And we've talked about that a lot in that, there were some markets in Ontario that went significantly higher than other parts of Canada. So those are the ones that you're going to see the correction also be the steepest. It's the markets that experience 50% increase in home prices that have seen the biggest corrections. And that's what you would expect because they are the most expensive homes in Canada with the largest outstanding mortgages. Because again, if you bought a property and you were on a variable interest rate and that interest rate was based off of, what was happening in the last 2 years, which was historic lows. And now we're getting back to what we were at pre-pandemic levels. Your mortgage payments could be fluctuating quite a bit. So they're saying like the more expensive markets where you saw a significant rise in prices are going to be hit the hardest. So what do I think about all of this? I think it's all about information and making sure you understand exactly what's going on. So if you are thinking about buying or selling in this market, you need to be on top of the information and on top of the data. And it's not just specific to Ontario or Toronto or Canada. You need to get much more granular and understand it for your specific type of home because, the way condos are being affected versus detached houses is quite different. And then you also need to understand it from your specific pockets within your neighborhood. So, how this is affecting Rosedale versus how this is affecting Bloor West Village is quite different. So versus Markham versus Stouffville, you need to understand it for your specific area because each one of them have their own trajectories that's been happening over the last 2 years. And then again, you also need to understand the data, not just for 2022, but for what happened during the pandemic and also see the trajectory before that to understand what was happening in the market for the last 10 years, 5 years, just to see some patterns so that you can judge what you think is going to happen within that marketplace. I've had some buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines this past summer and this past week. I've had calls about it and, they've been good about keeping informed on everything. I let them know what's happening in the pockets that they're interested in. And now one of them is quite interested in a specific property because it's, first of all, not a lot of properties come up in this pocket. It's close to friends and family for them, and they believe that the price point is probably where it should be. It's come down significantly from February, and they believe that if they get it for that price point, then they would be quite happy. They're okay with what their mortgage looks like. They're okay with fluctuations in that mortgage, and they also are planning to stay there for a long time. Minimum 5 to 10 years is their plan. Things always change, but that's their plan. So that's why it's really important, whether you're a buyer or a seller, that you kind of keep up to date on all of the information, because as a buyer, you can take advantage of opportunities just like that. Or as a seller, you can take advantage of opportunities too. So for example, it's, if you're the only one in your neighborhood for sale, that's quite different than when there's 5 other homes for sale in your neighborhood. So if you have that flexibility to do a little bit more timing with your real estate buying or selling, then it could be really helpful for you finding the right opportunities. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, good or bad, I would love to hear them. And if you have any real estate needs, feel free to call, text, email, or WhatsApp, and we'll be sure to help you out. And if you want to talk to me directly, my link is down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.